You don't need a black belt. Self-defense is not a sport or an activity. It is self-preservation. Self-preservation depends on your ability to perform simple tasks under extraordinary conditions. To do that, you need the plan plus decide plus act equals survival, or PDAS formula. The 60-minute Self-Defense for the People program gives you that plan, tells you when to decide, and then shows you how to act. In the end, you survive. It's that simple. In just 60 minutes, you will have a clear understanding of what you need to survive and escape from even the most determined, violent attacker. The 60-minute Self-Defense for the People program will give you the tools you need. Simply watch the video and implement the drills and mind-setting techniques on your worksheets. You only need to go through the drills a handful of times. These drills, combined with your natural will to survive, will give you that power in your greatest time of need. At the Self-Defense Company, self-defense is not a lifetime endeavor. It is a necessary life skill. We hope that you are never placed in a life or death situation, but if you are, you will have the knowledge and the skill to survive and get home safe. Thank you for taking the time to consider the Self-Defense Company's 60-minute Self-Defense for the People. Together, we will make our communities safe.
This is Kevin. Despite being seriously injured, Kevin used a very specific close combat tactic called the forward drive to fend off an attacker at a parking garage. Now, more than ever, you need to be prepared to fight back, and you can either be a sitting target or your attacker's worst nightmare. My name is Damian Ross, creator of the Self-Defense Training System, and over the last 30 years, I've compiled the most practical close combat methods based on the tactics perfected by elite commandos in World War II. This system is based on reaction and instinct and can be learned and implemented in less than 60 minutes. Unlike most martial arts that can take years to master and may be vastly ineffective the minute you leave the dojo, my system leverages your fight or flight instinct, which means it's easy to learn and even harder to forget. You can swing a bat or kick a ball, you can do this. And if you want to really be able to protect yourself and your loved ones when you're out in this crazy world, or when that crazy world kicks in your front door, just click the button to check out my 60-minute self-defense program now. You can get instant access to the online program for a ridiculously low price. And if you order today, I'll also give you 3 incredible bonuses absolutely free. So go ahead and click on the button, and I'll see you on the other side.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being back with In Your Defense with Daniel Cothron. I have a special guest. This is sitting right next to me on the screen there, Curt Dennis. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right, brother. About you?
Doing well. Glad to have you on. Like I said before, we're just going to wing it, brother.
Fair enough. Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, man. One of the things that a lot of people know about you when they first see you is your massive size, man. You have worked your ass off. You have really put on the masculinity, which brings me to one of the topics that I see you talk about a lot, is the toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity, brother. Can you tell me about that?
What it is the idea that the left calls toxic masculinity is men being men. Okay, just cussing, ripping each other, stuff of that nature. Not being overly sensitive about your feelings. Because it's all in good fun. Just men being men, and in today's world, they don't want men being men anymore. They want men to be something else. Sensitive, weak. A man should always be strong and not so sensitive. From what I've seen so much about what they deem as toxic masculinity is someone who's has a physically imposing presence that just screams man. And women love it. There are women out there who do love it. Matter of fact, there's women out there who actually just want men to be men again. They don't want men to be girls or little soy boys or anything like that. They just want men to be men. Back in the day, whenever you had an issue with a man, it was none of this social media shit that's going on. It's You know, let's take it outside. Let's settle it like men. You know, no big deal about it. Have a couple beers afterwards. You know, shit's done and over with. You know, nowadays you got actual grown men that'll report your stuff, uh, you know, call your job, try to get you docs. I mean, they go too far instead of actually meeting you face to face. And in a lot of society now, masculinity is a bad thing. That's the reason why they call it toxic masculinity.
Right. So the first time I ever heard this was probably around the time the Me Too movement was going on. It seems like it's more of a feminist term. Um, and it's generally coming from the males that are involved in the feminist movement, from what I'm coming across. But when I see you use it, it really brings a new perspective, because when I look at you and I look at your post on Facebook, I'm like, that's what Conan the Barbarian would look like.
I grew up watching Conan the Barbarian, so I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you 100%.
Right. So it comes back. So you're a bodybuilder. Like you do this. You go to competitions. You seems like you live at the gym, right? It seems like it.
Yeah, yeah, it
Um,
does. I'm
uh,
there all the time.
yeah. So what kind of what brought you to be inspired to clang and bang with the weights?
It started when I was like 12 years old, and it honestly started with me watching a sword and sandal film, which are films that were being made back in the 50s and 60s, were actual actors, but they had voiceovers. Okay, and I watched a Hercules film with a bodybuilder named Reg Park, uh, the only bodybuilder that's been out there in that time frame that actually made Arnold look small. Um, he was in these films, and I said to myself, "Damn, that's a fucking man right there." I mean, just everything about him says man. I mean, he's the hero of the film. He's doing everything to protect the weak, save the ladies, stuff of that nature. And that appealed to me so much so to start lifting weights. Now, the other reason that I started lifting weights, and this is something that has become very toxic today, is that I was actually bullied. Uh, I had in my head that uh, you know, if I get in trouble, my friends would be there to save me and stuff of that nature. And I realized very shortly at that age that no one's coming to save you but you. So I got into lifting weights to raise my self esteem about myself. But I didn't have much of a self esteem at all when I was younger. I mean, I was picked on, I was ridiculed, I had no backbone, you know. And to say lifting weights definitely helped me in that regard, and also helped me to learn a little bit about why you see me in the gym all the time. It's therapy. Uh, I mean, it literally is what keeps me balanced from day to day. Um, Whether you have a good day or bad day, or you just have an absolute shit day, then it's like, okay, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta get my mind right. I gotta go to the gym. And for those 90 minutes to 2 hours I'm in the gym, it's absolute therapy for me. Lifting heavy shit. That's part of what being a man is. Lifting heavy shit, just like Hercules. And that's what got me into lifting weights originally.
Right. So on your screen here, I pulled up the Facebook. I got a story that kind of goes kind of hand in hand with what you're saying here. But I
Okay.
pulled up some of the pictures here of, just so the viewers can see that you are actually a bodybuilder, and a damn good one, because I see bodybuilders all the time and they don't have the mass that you have acquired over your training.
Yeah, I've
It's
been doing.
very
I mean,
impressive, man, and it should be inspiring to anyone who has done this.
that's what and that's really at the end of the day, all I'm really trying to do is be an inspiration that you should not be afraid to be a man. Uh, when I went to some of these Patriot rallies back in 2020, that's what inspired a lot of guys there. They see someone like me, and the last thing they're the last thing they're representing is the color of my skin. I tell you that for damn sure. Uh, but they're looking at me and they're like, "Wow, man, this guy is wow. I'm glad he's on our side. On our side." But it was inspiring to them because they see someone like me, and it inspires them that hey, part of masculinity is not so much as talking the talk, but being able to look the part as well. I mean, you've done security as long as I have. I mean, I've come across guys that may not have been as big as I am, but they carry that presence about themselves that I respect. Uh, and at the same time, I've seen guys that put off the posture that they're big and they're bad, but they lack that present confidence in themselves to be a man. When get called out by another man, and then next thing you know, they all of a sudden, you know, got this bitch inside them that just backs down. So, and I take that also from working at Whiskey Row for a number of years to to account for that as well.
Right. Um, my brother, he's a pretty big dude. Now he's a lot older than me. I'm the baby, but he one time I remember being, I don't know, 8 years old or whatever. And in my
Yeah,
town we have what's called the strip, or used to have called the strip, where people just go hang out and they'll circle around town and just drive around, park on the side of the road and hang out. And that got shut down because a lot of people were fighting. But I remember during that time, I was in a pickup truck with someone else, and they tried to leave. And my brother, well, the truck wasn't going anywhere. And when I looked back, my brother was lifting the back of the truck up so the wheels weren't touching the ground.
wow,
So I asked him,
wow,
yeah, I asked him, how'd you get so strong? And he said um, that when he was growing up, he all he did was like lift stuff. It didn't have to be weights from the gym. It was like old refrigerators, big tires, and stuff like that in the yard. He was just, like you mentioned before, bored. But you also mentioned the Patriot rallies. Now I don't see as many of them like they were happening. I guess because Trump and the election's over, but and all the other little BS that
right,
was happening due to it. I don't see it happening as much
right.
on Facebook either, mainly because Facebook will shut you down quick.
All right,
Um,
let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there for a second because
yeah.
I'm gonna add something to that.
Okay.
When I was doing all these rallies, I got asked to, be at a rally because they saw some of my posts on Facebook, and I want to do something a little bit more than just make a post about it. I want to speak about it. I want to actually, be a voice.
Right.
Um, so I got invited to some of these rallies, and at first, the first one we had was about June. It was right after the George Floyd thing happened, and one of my friends was just feeling like, man, we got to get out there and do stuff. We got to get out there and do stuff too, because it's like these guys are kind of just running roughshod. So it literally started with like maybe six of us. Okay, we had a Facebook group, and the Facebook group had about 500, 600 members, but only six guys showed up at a rally. And at the time, it was uh, looked down upon if you showed up at a rally or even spoke out about it on social media, to where you were getting doxxed immediately. Somebody would call your job and spit all these lies about you, cause you to lose your job. So a lot of people were scared about that. But when we went and did our second one, we ended up 13 people, 14 people at least. Okay. So there was a message and people were listening. It just took a little time to get people to, okay, they see these guys doing it. Now they're wanting to do it too. And right about, I guess, September of 2020, I went to a rally in Franklin. Uh, and it was a very good rally, very peaceful. Uh, you know, if you're patriotic and American, that's where you need to be. Uh, I posted some photos, did some videos of some people speaking there, and no shit, literally 3 or 4 days, I got word from somebody that was doing some security work in Louisville. I think it was in Louisville after some bad weather went through there, doing some disaster relief. He got word that our names was dropped and something was going to happen. All right, I don't know. So I was on Facebook earlier that day, was on there posting stuff, whatever. About 3 or 4 o'clock in the day, I get back on it and I can't.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, what the hell's going on? It's actually for my login. So I put in my login, and it didn't give me any sort of context other than the fact that my account had been disabled. Okay, I didn't do it.
Right.
Obviously, I was on it earlier that day, but somehow at 3 o'clock or so, my account was disabled. So I appealed it several times between September 15th and October 1st. Well, before October 1st, before then, I created another Facebook profile, hoping to get my other one back. Now, I had my other Facebook profile since 2007, so I had
Right.
it for a long time. I had a lot of stuff on that page, and Facebook was changing the guidelines and standards and shit. They were changing it on the 1st of October. Now, my account before October 1st was already disabled, but it didn't give me a context as to why. I went to my email to see if I got a notification from Facebook. Nothing. So I gave up after a while. And then around about October 5th or 6th, on a chance, I logged back into my Facebook, the one that was disabled, and it actually showed me a context. Said that my page was disabled due to community guidelines violations. At this point, I had never been violated. Like, I haven't violated anything on
Right.
Facebook. None of my posts was flagged or anything. But I just went straight to uh, my account being deleted. They told me on the context of the message, it was assumed that because I violated community guidelines, I was banned on Facebook. That account was banned on Facebook. So there was no hope of me getting that account back. And about the only thing I can invest when I went through a little bit of investigation to find out how and why this happened, our Facebook group, we had done 3 rallies at this point. Our Facebook group had grown to 1,000 people. And now, granted, a friend of mine's, good heart and all, was inviting everybody named Mama into this group.
Right.
So we had no telling. There was no vetting, no nothing. So anybody could have gotten this group.
Right.
Okay. I was an admin at this point in that group. And my account, along with 2 other admins in that same group, were all banned. Well, when that happens on Facebook, when you're an admin or when you're an admin in a group and it gets deleted, so does the group. The group's gone.
Yeah.
So, because I was getting messages from people asking me, well, hey, what happened to the group? I can't see anymore. So I went to search for my new account. I can't find it.
Right.
But the only thing I could figure is that somebody within the group reported the accounts of the 3 admins. And from that point, probably went to mass reporting, which that's what it takes.
Right.
Uh, It doesn't take one report. It takes several hundreds of reports. And that's how they get you kicked off of a platform, by having a mass reporting effect going on. When one person reports the account, 20 others report it, then their friends report it. Then next thing you know, it triggers Facebook to take action and go to deleting the account. So when you delete an account of an admin or admins, the group itself goes bye-bye.
Right. I've experienced that a little bit myself. I used to run a patriotic group where it was just a bunch of regular Joes I'm just going to be a little funny about it, dressing up like G.I. Joe and running in the woods playing Survivor Man. Okay.
Right.
I think you can use your
Right.
imagination there. And
Yeah.
what we were doing was very patriotic. It was Second Amendment at its best. And the name of the group was Tennessee Civil Guard. Tennessee Civil Guard. And then that's the second one. The first one we started out was the Sheepdog Task Force. We
Okay.
changed the name because people got confused what sheepdog was, and people were trying to get us to train their dogs. but it was just a title for recruitment to get other members.
I knew what sheepdog means.
It's that toxic masculinity.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, I shut that down because I had some issues, and it was just wasting my time with other, adult shit that I needed to take care of, and no one else stood up to run it in my absence. So it just kind of went away. But then I got into the self-defense company, and I started it out as Lafette Self-Defense Company. Now it's the Self-Defense Company of Lafette, right? The Lafette Self-Defense Company, Facebook shut it off because it was promoting violence. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I lost all the reviews, all the people who liked the page, the entire thing just went to hell, and I had to start anew, and here we are. So I got a little experience of what you're talking about, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's not just on. It's not happening just on Facebook. It's happening on Instagram. It's happening on TikTok. I mean, I haven't been on TikTok a year, and I've already had one account already banned. Okay, the second one I have, it's reached about 144,000 followers, and it's on the brink of being banned.
I can see it.
I mean, and that's when I realized the whole mass reporting thing is real, because it's even worse on TikTok because it's only on one side. Okay.
Right.
If you're on the left, you're reporting, and granted, I've seen and heard discussing things on TikTok, like, guys, grown men following little girls on TikTok. Okay.
Yeah.
They even let, teenagers get on this app. So there's no age regulation. I remember when I started Facebook back in 2007, there was an age regulation. You had to be 18 and over. Okay. They somehow forgot about that. Okay. And you had pedophiles that would actually sit and like and comment on these girls' pages. And you had guys like this reporting. Okay. Even mass reporting. They do nothing. Yeah. They do absolutely nothing. But heaven forbid if, say, for instance, you post some video about J6, for instance. Oh, it gets mass reported in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah.
You post taking the picture with the Proud Boys. Oh, that gets reported and removed.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
I find it funny. I find it funny that you can get people posting pictures of police officers stepping on the American flag, and nothing happens to it. But if you get, someone who actually cares about their country and doing something very patriotic and trying to promote peaceful resolutions, it gets turned into a violent in someone inciting something violent or whatever word they want to coin it with, and it gets removed. To
Oh
me,
yeah,
it's just, it's crazy.
I took a picture with my pastor, Pastor Greg Locke. I'm not sure if you've heard of him or not.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he has a church in Mount Juliet that I go to almost every week. And not sure if you heard about this. I'm just going to drop this on you. Not sure if you heard about this, but it was sometime, I want to say around June. Okay. Now, Pastor Locke is a very vocal, patriotic preacher. He will not censor himself on what he feels is going on. And if it's wrong, he'll speak about it. Okay. He'll speak about it with passion and intensity. And I love that. That gets my attention. That
Right.
means he's real about what he's saying. And his church was vandalized.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. And the pulpit that he puts his Bible on had the letters "FU" written on it.
I
Okay.
didn't know that.
Yes, I posted a picture about it. Now, granted, I'll get to my Facebook here in a second, but I posted a picture about it on Instagram and especially on TikTok. And I reached out to some friends. They were moving. They were preaching from a tent. They were moving to a bigger tent the following weekend after the church got vandalized. I mean, the actual church building got spray painted on and everything. And one of the things that, again, the picture that I saw was the pulpit spray painted FU.
Right.
And the next weekend, the Proud Boys showed up from from 3 different states, mostly in part because the Proud Boys out in Portland, when the pastor was out there, they had a six. Okay, so they all know who he is. And I posted a picture with the Proud Boys and Pastor Locke on TikTok, and it got removed for inciting violence.
Yep. Yep.
It was a picture.
Yeah.
It was a fucking picture. That you never saw this picture on my Facebook because I was off Facebook for a good bit of 2021, from January to about July when I came back on.
Right.
So it happened in like June or something. But when I posted that video on TikTok, and it was just a video, it had no context, it had a picture. It had music in the background, it had nothing else other than just that. And heaven forbid it got removed for inciting violence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what they do. And some individuals will say this is violating their First Amendment, freedom of the press, right?
Right.
So, because we are all the press. I mean, with our phones and all that stuff, taking pictures, you can all be the press. But the Constitution only limits the government, not an individual. So Facebook gets away with it because of that.
hmm And
Um,
then, and then whenever Zuckerberg, the former CEO of Twitter, got brought, and then Google, the guy that's CEO of Google, because Google was suppressing certain content, okay, mostly from the right. Uh, when they got before Congress and asked why they were suppressing it, they were just all over the place. They didn't give them a straightforward answer, especially addressing the use of these algorithms.
yep.
How certain words will trigger a social media platform to immediate action.
Yeah.
Okay, uh, and a lot of us on the right, we start realizing what those words were, and we started kind of doing play on different words. Almost like trying to do Morse code, almost is where it is at this point.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because you're trying to like not get removed or banned for saying a certain thing. You know,
It's kind of like Let's Go, Brandon.
I was about to bring that up. I mean, the entire country trolling Biden on "Let's Go, Brandon." Now, I had a bunch of people that were like, "Man, I don't know why people are playing into that. Man, it's just a way for me to essentially like, no." I'm like, the American people are trolling the president of the United States. I've never seen that happen.
Man, that's a freaking beautiful thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've never seen that happen. I'm like, no, like they were trying to censor us, but it kind of got flipped on his ass because now everybody's saying, "Let's go, Brandon." Everybody knows what it means. Okay,
It was awesome,
everybody,
dude.
and apparently that's not okay. But writing "fu" on a pulpit is okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. But we all know what both those contexts mean.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You know what surprised me the most is there was people saying, "Let's go, Brandon," in other countries.
And
That's what got me, man.
and the best part about it is that I had a friend of mine that reached out to me and said that the rallies that we had here, and keep in mind, we legitimately we started the movement for rallies here in Nashville with what a small group of guys did. Because soon after the election, oh, you had a rally here in Nashville almost every other week.
Right.
Okay, I got invited to quite a bit of them, uh, mostly for security. you
Yeah.
know, mostly for security because sometimes you do have people that want to show up and get attention. Okay,
Right.
and of course at this point, a lot of Americans have had enough because a lot of them were patiently waiting for the election. A lot of them were like, "Hey, let's just wait until the election. Our voices will be heard, and Trump will be back in office."
Right.
Man, well, a lot of us on the right were basically putting people on the defensive because, like, guys, they've been building a plan for this since he's been in office. Okay, and he's openly revealed this plan to the American people repetitively, time and time again, with the
Right.
mail-in ballots, and he knew what the leftists want to do. They were going to steal this election.
Right.
He said that months in advance. Okay, said it started with COVID, started with the lockdowns, then it started with the need for the mail-in ballots. Then by taking the economy would undo Trump's work.
Right.
Okay, and when it came down to the election, Trump still won. However, I've never seen this I know you probably never seen. I've never seen it in an election where they stopped counting. They didn't finish. They stopped.
Yeah, dude, I've never seen what happened with this thing. I've never even read about it, never heard about it, seen it. This is, in my opinion, and it's the opinion of others too, I'm sure. This was a soft form of a tyrannical takeover. It wasn't by force.
Because Trump, right? Because Trump wasn't one of the good. Well, I'm sorry, how I say it. Trump wasn't one of the good old boys. Okay, he was a businessman. So apparently, businessmen and politicians don't mix. You know,
Right.
um, and it was crazy because everything he's saying was correct. All you had to do was look really, really hard. Not at the mainstream media, but you have to look really, really hard and possibly open your eyes up to what was really going on to see that he was telling the truth. I mean, you had doctors, legitimate doctors, who were all saying something's wrong. Like, like
Right.
they were, shutting down hospitals to make room for COVID patients that never came. And some states did, but not in the number that they were expecting.
Right.
Almost like a sales job. They were like, "Oh, we were expecting, this many people, but we only got this many." And then turning every COVID death into a paycheck for the hospital, so they can keep the lights on because they can't open and do what they need to do to keep their own lights on.
Right. And
You know,
I yeah, for sure. And I got a lot of people that work in the hospitals, and a lot of them have left the hospitals due to the whole COVID fiasco, what they're doing to the nurses that went through this during the worst part of it, and then now they're losing their jobs. Like, natural immunity doesn't exist in the minds of Fucci or whatever the fuck his name is.
Fuji. Fuji. Wow.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm just laughing because you just pulled a Let's Go Brendan. That's awesome. He's like because what a Fuji says. Okay. I feel that. I like that.
But I really don't understand where they're going to go with this, like where the end game is. But I think the American people know in their head what's happening. I think what we need to do now is make sure that we're preparing for something. And I don't want to get into the whole prepper mindset because I spent a decade of doing that with people, but you need to start storing beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, people.
I understand that. Trust me. I saw it myself. And it doesn't, I mean, I remember when Trump had his million man rally in D.C. shortly after the election. And the amount of violence that occurred afterwards. And I was seeing videos left and right just being posted on Instagram of random fights that were going on in D.C. Just BLM and Tifa just attacking random people after the rally when people are actually going back to their hotels and what happened.
Right.
You know, or their numbers wouldn't be as great as it was if they did it during the rally. And like everything else, Instagram did its best, and so did Facebook, to suppress all that content.
Yeah.
You know, they did their absolute best to suppress anything that shows that we were kicking ass. Because people were not taking that. People saw it for what it was, and people were not taking it.
Right.
So, needless to say, any rallies that were held past that point, you definitely have to be prepared.
Yeah.
You definitely, even here in Nashville, people came prepared. All these rallies I went to, people came prepared.
Right. Kind of switching gears and kind of going back because we're running the clock a little bit.
Okay.
No problem. I just want to bring it back to you and your other business, your fitness coaching stuff. Can you tell the people about that a little bit?
So, my style of coaching is very old school. How I was taught to lift. I keep it very simple. Very old school. Barbells, dumbbells, some machine stuff. I touch on the very important things. Like having a correct meal plan, because a lot of people don't eat enough as much as they should. A lot of people undereat for their goals. Like, I've had guys tell me that they want to put on size, and I ask them what they're eating. It's one or two scenarios. It's 4 protein shakes a day and 2 meals a day. I'm like, you want me to tell you how many meals a day you really having? Oh, I know. I got 6. No, you got 2. Because protein shakes don't count as food. Okay, your body doesn't treat it as food. Your body's treated as a liquid, like no different than a chocolate shake or a vanilla shake going down. It treats it like food. Is it full of protein?
Right.
Yeah, of course. But your body's going to process it way differently than food. So, and in the other scenario, I've had guys eating like rabbits. Okay? They'll eat chicken, they'll eat fish, they'll eat vegetables. And I was like, well, where are the carbs at, bro? Well, I don't want to get too fat, man. I heard carbs make you fat. And then you have to educate them that what they're currently doing is going to do just that.
Yeah, I'm a good example of just that. I'm
Fair enough.
currently, and I've been currently for a while now trying to figure out how to get a good balanced diet based on my non-routine lifestyle. I don't know how many carbs I burn or calories I burn throughout a day doing what I do. And what I do, as you know, security work is you don't burn a lot of calories doing it unless you're doing some kind of physical walking foot patrol. But like
Right.
what I do, driving around a vehicle for 12 hours sucks. You're not burning any calories that way. I mean, you are naturally, every time you breathe, but not enough to really matter.
Right. Right.
So balancing that, do you have any advice or anything?
My advice is that the key to uh, figuring out what you're actually burning, and granted, you can have a pretty good idea that what the good idea to start with is, you know, figuring out where your body type is. You know, you have an ectomorph that's a really skinny guy. You have an endomorph, which is a very big guy, which is what I am and what you are. Then you have a mesomorph who's kind of in between the two, kind of like the guy with the perfect genetics, the guy that can take a whole pizza and still have abs, you know, and still
Right.
look big,
I hate those
you
guys.
know. Yeah, yeah, and those guys are very few and far between. They're not as uh, they're not as much. In today's world, it's either ecto or endo. You're either the skinny guy or the big fat guy. Um, and being that you're an endomorph, you're only going to burn calories when you're actually in motion. Meaning if you're doing doing some sort of physical activity. You know, but if you're not doing any sort of physical activity, you're just sitting sedentary, you're not burning anything. Versus a guy who's an ectomorph who's burning calories 24/7. He
Right.
could be sleeping, he could be sitting, he could be doing physical activity, which doing physical activity, he's doubling the amount of calories he's burning.
Right.
But sitting and sleeping and not really doing anything, he's still burning calories. So he has to constantly eat all the time,
Right.
possibly every 2 hours. For an endomorph, we can't do that. We can't eat every 2 hours because it goes into the factor of unless we're doing physical activity, it's only going to slow down our metabolism. So
Right.
we have to do actual work. Okay, and I didn't know this 12 years ago, and if I did, I probably would have been a lot further along than I am now. But I realized cardio had to be a regular thing. Without cardio, it's kind of like my metabolism has no reason to keep burning anything. Um, and I'm not talking like, oh, an hour or anything. I'm talking something as small as 15, 20 minutes of really intense cardio, okay, of some sort. Something that gets the heart rate up to about 125, 130 beats per minute, okay.
So are you an
Where
advocate for the high intensity interval training?
for a lot of bigger guys, yes, because it works beautifully for us, okay. Not so much for the meso or the ectomorphs because they don't really need a lot of cardio. The ectomorphs need a lot more food than anything. I mean, I've trained with guys that are ectomorphs, and I can put them on a meal plan that has them hitting 4,000 calories a day, and they'll put on size. It'll be a struggle
Right.
because they're naturally inclined to keep burning calories and muscle at the same time, 24/7. For us bigger guys, we grow from protein. We respond well to a lot of protein. But we have to balance that because if we take on too much protein, we put on too much weight too fast. That's where the cardio comes in.
Right.
So for bigger guys, it's the balance between the meal plan and the cardio. If those two things are in place and they're being consistent, you'll drop weight and you'll put on muscle at the same time.
Right.
You do it the wrong way, meaning you're doing a shit ton of cardio and you're eating 2,000 calories a day, which, just to give you an idea, just so I'm not talking a different language here, you have female competitors that get ready for shows at the day, sorry, days before their show, they're at least doing 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. Female
Yeah.
competitors. So that gives you an idea that if you're doing about 1,800 to 2,000 calories as a man, that's not enough. Not when you
I'm
got
probably
female.
doing too much. That's probably my problem. If I start working out, like if I try to cut back and then try to work out, I'll find myself later at the end of the day saying, "Why did I eat that?" Because my
It's
body
about.
sometimes wants to start craving something, and I don't know how to break that cycle.
All right, so the cravings. That you brought up a good point. So the cravings are coming at the cost of not having enough of either protein or carbs. Okay, and generally what we crave is something in the realm of fats. Okay, now I've been keeping my fat content anywhere from 100 to about 120 grams a day. Okay, that's pretty low for someone that's 300 pounds, but it's manageable. Okay, uh, and I keep my carbs from 280 to 300. Okay, and that's manageable for me. That's enough to keep the cravings away. And when you say cut back, you have to be careful when you say that, because when you start the process of trying to, drop a few pounds, it has to be a slow thing. You have to come down slowly because your body has to adjust to all that. If you do a drastic cut, of course you're gonna have cravings. Your body's not ready for it yet.
Okay, that's
So
something
you,
that I do. I try to do the intermittent fasting stuff.
which is great, which is great to do, but you have to balance that. You can only do it for a few days, and then, scarily as this sounds, you have to put the carbs back in because now your body's going to respond differently now.
Okay.
Okay, if you continue that for a long period of time, you just go straight into it. You continue for a long period of time, you're going to crash and burn your metabolism.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I
What you
appreciate
have,
that information, man. It's definitely going to help me out. Without giving
what you,
everybody too much freebies there.
right?
uh, uh, let's let's tell everybody how they can reach you. I'm going to put a link. So when you send me that link, I'll put it in the description. But
Okay.
is there any way that anyone else can contact you until then?
They can go to my they can go to my Instagram. It's iamhulk 2489. Um, and there'll be a link in the bio where they can go to directly to a page where they can message me about the coaching directly. Um, they could also reach out to me on Facebook. I'll change the link on there when we get off. I'll change it on there, so it's on my Facebook under Curt Binge. Actually, Curt Binge right now. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok under iamhulk 2489. I believe. Uh, I've changed my handle so many times I can't keep up with it. But
I
yeah,
understand,
they
bro.
get. I'm on Twitter as well. I'm starting to try to get on Twitter a little bit. I've not been on Twitter in years. It is I am Hulk 489. And you've seen some of my Twitter posts on my Facebook, where the actual at symbols on there too. So
Okay, yeah.
I'll send you all that.
All right, brother. Well, it's been good. We learned a lot,
Okay.
and I enjoyed this. So maybe sometime we can be back on again.
I'll just let me know, brother. I appreciate it.
Hey, brother, you have a good one. Be safe out there.
All right, man. You too.
All right, everybody, that's Curt Dennis. Look him up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We'll leave a link in the description below. He knows his stuff. As you can see from his Facebook photos, he's the legit, real deal. Patriot Hulk right there. If you're interested in self-defense company stuff, I'll leave a link in the description below as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. This is Daniel Cothron signing off. Have a good day. God bless, and we'll see you next time.
You don't need a black belt. Self-defense is not a sport or an activity. It is self-preservation. Self-preservation depends on your ability to perform simple tasks under extraordinary conditions. To do that, you need the plan plus decide plus act equals survival, or PDAS formula. The 60-minute Self-Defense for the People program gives you that plan, tells you when to decide, and then shows you how to act. In the end, you survive. It's that simple. In just 60 minutes, you will have a clear understanding of what you need to survive and escape from even the most determined, violent attacker. The 60-minute Self-Defense for the People program will give you the tools you need. Simply watch the video and implement the drills and mind-setting techniques on your worksheets. You only need to go through the drills a handful of times. These drills, combined with your natural will to survive, will give you that power in your greatest time of need. At the Self-Defense Company, self-defense is not a lifetime endeavor. It is a necessary life skill. We hope that you are never placed in a life or death situation, but if you are, you will have the knowledge and the skill to survive and get home safe. Thank you for taking the time to consider the Self-Defense Company's 60-minute self-defense for the people. Together, we will make our communities safe.
Hey folks, Daniel Cothron here at the Self-Defense Company of Lafayette. If you're interested in doing some defensive tactics training, please send an email at defenseinfo@gmx.us. If you're interested in doing the online modules, you can click on the link below. We'll have all the programs there, like the Family Safe program, the Weapons Retention program. We've got all those little programs, 60-minute self-defense, all of that there in the link below. Again, any questions, send an email, defenseinfo@gmx.us. It's Daniel Cothron signing off. You have a great day, stay safe, and God bless.